Stephen Miller was speaking about public education at the White House briefing today. Apparently just absolutely lost
this
it.
is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Bonker stuff, folks.
Here he is, basically the voice of the president. We know this from the Atlantic, that when he's giving the sign off to Hegseth and Waltz and all that whole crew, speaking as the president, shadow president Nazi Stephen Miller on education.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous, communist, woke.
Okay, I just have to say, if you think that America's public schools are teaching children to hate yourself, it's because you are a Klan member. You are the fucking Klan. That's it.
This
you
is
are
the
a Klan
lost
member.
cause. This is the lost cause. Is this not? I mean,
100%.
This is exactly what the white supremacists did to erase the history of slavery and the efforts to build back and to you know what I'm trying to say.
Erase the horror of slavery.
Yes, to erase the horror of slavery. And so when he says teach us to hate our country, you mean speak about any negative thing or teach kids about any negative thing that the United States has done?
History.
I'll just say,
history.
The stuff that he thinks is hating ourselves is actually stuff we got. The only things we have to be proud of, which is like civil rights movement, ending Jim Crow, ending slavery. Those brief moments of brightness in this thing, saying that, like celebrating that stuff and what it meant is actually teaching America to hate itself. No, it's teaching you that you have a duty. It's not just about pride. Pride is what Nazis talk about. We have a duty as Americans to make the world a better place. And all Stephen Miller, that's Goebbels type, all he wants to do is to naturalize the sort of baseline evil that is existent throughout the world and gets displayed through American history.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't want American kids to be smarter, because then they would be investing in reading. They'd be investing in math. They'd be investing in a bucket of solutions that allows kids to learn better by funneling money to their community and to institutions besides the police. They want your kids to be dumber, so it's easier to manipulate them. They want you to have no knowledge of history, especially not labor history, which has already been stricken from American history. So they don't want you to know that the right to vote. They don't want you to know that child labor. They don't want you to know that the 5-day work week or the 40-hour work week was a result of blood being shed by unions and miners. They want you to be as confused as possible why things are the way they are and where we are going, so that they can make that. So honestly, it makes it easier for you to rob, because that's the big grift when it comes to white supremacy in America that people don't understand. And not just in America, ethno-nationalism broadly speaking works like this. It's an affinity scam. Stephen Miller doesn't want to uplift all white people. He wants to enrich himself in a handful of inner circle cronies like Donald Trump, I don't know, maybe Steve Bannon. I don't know what they're on good terms, but his goal isn't to uplift all white people, even at the expense of minorities. His goal is to enrich himself and to uplift himself socially and materially, while the rest of the country falls into mass deprivation.
Yeah, and so Emma Vergonia Land writes in, Stephen Miller absolutely hates himself for being Jewish. I did not know that he was Jewish until recently. I knew his wife was, but you can see it in the 21st century in America. Nazism includes Jews, and that includes Jewish Zionists, but also Christian Zionists as well. And Stephen Miller here is basically already, we do this already. We have erased in many ways the genocide of Native Americans from our history books. The way that we speak about the colonization and the westward expansion of this country is a mythology that erases, again, the unbelievable crimes that the United States committed in order to expand because of manifest destiny and because we believed it was our religious right. He wants to erase that understanding because also it makes it easier to support things like the genocide in Gaza. If you don't see parallels between our treatment of the Native Americans and our colonization of this country and the way that Israel is trying to ethnically cleanse and commit a Holocaust against the Palestinian people to achieve their colonialist ends, then you're less likely to oppose the United States government. That's his agenda.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Miller being Jewish is sort of trivia compared to Stephen Miller being a explicit ideological white supremacist. This is an article from 2019.
Yep.
This is from NPR, but I believe it was originally published by or looked into by Southern Poverty Law Center. Last week, the Southern Poverty Law Center detailed leaked emails in which it states Miller encouraged far-right website Breitbart to promote white supremacist ideas. In one message, Miller references a book of fiction. Someone should point out the parallels to Camp of the Saints. If you've ever paid attention to Nazis, they love that book. The Camp of the Saints is a 1973 French novel by Jean Raspail that has become a key inspiration within white nationalist circles. It portrays a dystopia, or perhaps an apocalypse, a flotilla of South Asian people who invade France and effectively overthrow Western society. He is a hysterical Nazi.
Yep. And it reminds me, when you pointed that out, Iammer, it reminds me of somebody else who was a far-right figure that Donald Trump is heavily influenced by. He's Roy Cohn, reincarnated. I mean, even the stuff about communism and the Red Scare. Roy Cohn was also a self-hating Jew that perpetuated anti-Semitism against people like the Rosenbergs, which like the usage of Bolsheviks back then was oftentimes like an anti-Semitic dog whistle. And Roy Cohn was happy to engage in that kind of rhetoric as a way to go after communists, and
First
that he just said it right
Remember?
there.
How does First They Came For start?
Yes.
It wasn't just an anti-Semitic dog whistle. It was also used to spread homophobia and to purge gay and lesbians from government, despite Roy Cohn, like, at least being suspected of being homosexual himself. Like, communism.
100%. Yeah, it was very much a homosexual. Yes.
Yeah, but like communism in the United States of America, especially post-Cold War, has always been a vehicle to criticize and to treat any kind of redistributive economic policy as anti-American inherently. Like, half of the things that we have that people hold up as being like great American works, like our highway system, like our public education system, if you tried to pass that legislation today, people would just call it communist, because they don't know what communism is. They don't know what socialism is. People were in my mentions on Twitter arguing that tariffs were socialist, that Trump's tariffs were socialist. And I was just like, wow.
We're capitalist buddies.
We are really far gone here. But yeah, like, communism in America very rarely means like, Marx, Stalin, Mao, and more often means like, I don't want to give my tax dollars to the government to uplift anybody other than maybe myself and Elon Musk.
And we have this sort of like I guess posture of like the Glenn Beck sort of Thomas Jefferson thing. The alien acts that they're using for this immigration crackdown were literally deplored by Thomas Jefferson himself. Like,
right.
It's like, I mean,
they hate Jefferson. They like the far right hates Jefferson because Jefferson was also the person who wrote the Jefferson Bible, which was a secularized version of they don't like the founding fathers at all. We have disputes with the founding fathers for many of their behaviors, but they don't like the founding fathers on a much more ideological base. Like, they don't like the Constitution oftentimes. Like, I remember that debate where Sam was on Jubilee and arguing with those like 20 people, and like the one like girl, the lady who turned out to be Canadian, she was talking about how like the West was built on white values and we should only let white people in it. And it's like the founding fathers didn't even believe that. It's like, you can believe that if you want, like, you can say stuff like that, but understand that the founding fathers, for all of their flaws, like Western civilization, the founders, for all of their flaws when it comes to their blind spots, they would not even agree with you. And so the beliefs of the modern far right, despite referencing the founding fathers, is oftentimes incompatible with like the very bones of like Western civilization that they seem to think they love so much.
Right. Like you were mentioning, like, our issues with the founding fathers are usually things like, they owned slaves. That's the part of the founding fathers that the right likes.
Yeah.
What do you want us to hate America?
Yeah, they like the slavery. It's like how they like
be more. We have to follow the founding fathers. That's what they mean. That's what they want.
Yeah.
It's like how they like comedians when they're sex criminals, but not like the jokes. It's like they like the worst parts of the people. Like,
Right.
Okay, who cares about a punchline? Show me an accusation.
Do we have more of this?
That's a lot of these guys' careers. I'm looking at you, Russell Brand.
Well, but first you have to become newly religious. Then they begin to accept you and enjoy that part. But let's listen. I mean, I want to hear.
We only got through like half of it.
We only got through half before. I think. I mean, this is just we're joking. We should. It's the fun half, but this is incredibly scary stuff.
This is a Nazi you're saying.
Yeah.
And we provide funding to states. We are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues. The children will be taught to.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. But in what you were saying earlier, Brandon, about how the Red Scare also was deeply homophobic as well, you see all of those hallmarks. Trans people also targeted by the Nazis.
Also, a lot of states already have the kinds of things that they are saying that they need to get rid of the Department of Education for. Like, if you try to sell textbooks in Texas, like if you try to sell even textbooks that aren't related to history and they don't have some kind of like patriotic messaging in them, like even like a math textbook or like a science textbook, if there's like a flag on the cover, you're way less likely to be able to sell that textbook there. Like, that's just something that they demand from all of their like educational resource providers in red states like that, which ends up, trickling out into other states because of how big of a market Texas is.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.